We're live and I'm early, so I'm not quite sure if I'm going to get many people in right now. But we are talking about 3D horror, horror films in 3D. I am older, so I actually was old enough to see like that first run of 3D horror films that came out in theaters, the Friday the 13th 3Ds, the Jaws 3Ds, and some of the non-horror 3D films that nowadays are called kind of gimmicky. They're the ones that kind of like come out of the screen at you, the Anagraph 3D, as opposed to the 3D that is done now, where they try to make it more picture booky and try to kind of make it go back. Hey, Danuch, welcome, man. Welcome, Nethead. We are talking about 3D horror. And I watched a couple last night. Hey, Brian. So my T-shirt, which is a brand new one for today, is the Friday the 13th kind of 3D, I guess Japanese poster. Hey, Wheels. Which I'm actually really proud of. I really love this shirt. I'm not going to lie to you. So what did I watch for the today's 31 Days of Horror? Well, I got up early and I watched a couple actually. I wanted to watch an older one. So, hey, Adrian, welcome. I grabbed out my now to print Amityville trilogy box set, which hopefully you guys were able to get before it went out of print. And I watched, oh nice, this right here, Amityville 3D. Got to check this one out. And I can tell you, me too actually. Hey, Sculptor, I'm slightly peeved with Vinegar Center for not having gotten them out yet, to be honest with you. Thanks, Ned. Your Shudder's been awesome recently, especially the Creep Show. I'm a couple episodes behind the Creep Show, but I got to catch up. But so I watched this. Now I will not lie to you. Like I love Amityville Horror. Like it's a good film. I like Amityville Horror 2 better actually. At three, three is not a good film. You're not going to regret Shutter Dude. But when you watch it in 3D, it becomes a much better film than it would be if you've seen a flat. It's more fun. It's got a decent cast. I mean, it's probably the most, a pretty mainstream cast. We've got Lori Loughlin in part three. I guess she's the one. She's been in the news recently, but she's gorgeous. Tess Harper, Robert Joy, who's a Canadian actor, actually. Now he's in this one as well. That is awesome. My dad actually got a better deal than I got too. I got into Shutter early on, so I just got the regular price on it. But when my dad got it, he got it like for like he got Shutter, and then like 20 minutes later, he got an email from them to get like a better deal since he was getting it for the first time. I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous, dude. So this was fun. I mean, like now this is real 3D. This is not Anagraph 3D. Anagraph 3D is the glasses, and if you're too young to remember the difference, 30 days free. Wow. This is Anagraph 3D. So basically, what it was is you would have these red and blue glasses, and this is how you'd see your 3D. So my shirt here is done in Anagraph 3D, as you can tell. I haven't checked to see if that actually works, but I'll check later on. Now, later on, well, in theaters, they also had something that we call this regular 3D. Well, the old school stuff was there was these bigger glasses, right? And who signed them? Like Robert Englund, and they were amazing. I mean, Friday the 13th, the original film in 3D, the original third film in 3D, actually looked really, really good in the theaters in 3D. Now, they put this out initially with 3D glasses with, called an Ultimate Edition. And the 3D wasn't that good. Now, the Blu-ray, is it Amanda? Was she like blonde hair, really, attractive, really nice. She's the girl that played Tina. Because I got to meet her at the Montreal Comic Con, and she's really sweet. Or do you mean you got someone from Part 6, like Lisa Zane or something like that? She's awesome. She was in Highlander too for a while, actually. If you watched the original Highlander, the TV series, she was in it like early on. She was the reporter. And not like a small part reporter, she actually had a decent plot. Now, the one thing I'll tell you about this is like the 3D edition of like the Blu-ray for Friday 13th is actually really good. Unfortunately, you're gonna, and it is Analgraph. It's still, it would be better if it was live 3D. And the 3D version is on here. But if you buy the set, just know you're going to have to go out, if you don't already have the 3D glasses, and get yourself a pair of Analgraph 3D glasses, because they do not come in the set themselves. They're easy to get on eBay, and they're dirt cheap. I actually had some because I have this here, like Nightmare on Elm Street box set, plus had an old DVD like edition of Friday the 13th, the one with with the little hockey mask, that box set as well, and that had like the 3D glasses, like kind of, and they were done to be like Jason's mask. Both of those were fun. Now, a bit of a bummer is this one right here. I do like this film, but there's one issue, and I guess maybe I watched it too much or something. I tried to watch it this morning, and I realized the disc doesn't work. Now, this wasn't a secondhand disc that I bought. I mean, I bought this brand new from Target when Target was here, but it no longer works. So I guess I'll have to go like hunting down another 3D copy of Texas Chainsaw, because I do have like I have an emotional attachment to this film. Like in all seriousness, I really do. I got to meet Gunnar Hansen just before that movie came out. He was very excited about the film, and I went to see the film in the theater with my oldest. So it was kind of like a bonding experience type of thing. Next one that I will mention, well, since it was just mentioned, is this one right here. Does this have the glasses? It does, right? Yeah, a lot of glasses. So this one here, My Bloody Valentine 3D. Now this has, Gunnar was amazing. He's like a huge guy, but it's like a teddy bear. This has four pairs of 3D glasses, and it's My Bloody Valentine, right? But there is promotions on the back of it for Saw 6, which I thought was pretty cool. And just so you know what 3D glasses are, I kind of like it's right here. If you're a fan of Doctor Who and you know David Tennant, then you know he had the 3D glasses. So they were like, they gave you an abundance. Whereas, Friday 13 set that didn't give you any. If you pick up this My Bloody Valentine 3D disc, you get 4 pairs of glasses, which is really cool because most usually give you 2 pairs. But they I think, well, this one gave me 4 pairs anyway, so hopefully they all do. And the 3D in this one is actually pretty good. There's a couple sequences that really stand out. There's some sequence in the mine, the one where Tom Atkins gets it in the jaw. That really comes out. This movie was really made to really capitalize on 3D, and it did like a really good job with that. I haven't actually. I love Sid Haig, but I haven't had a chance to see that one in 3D. Now, the only copy that I ever remember seeing of that in 3D, I saw at a Shoppers Drug Mart, but the type of 3D that it had at the time wasn't the glasses type. It was, and they did a few of these. They had this like box you could buy, like electronic box, and you could attach it to your TV, and it had these glasses that you had to charge, and you could watch 3D, like converted 3D movies through these glasses. And I know that movie was done in 3D too, but they also had like the original Night Living Dead 3D and a couple others that went for that set thing. Also, this one works well, I think, in 3D. I really like this one. I wouldn't want it to more kind of come out like portions, but they do have some neat sequences within this film. It is a great film, and I love the fact, take the 3D part aside. I like the Mystery of the Wax Museum, the Lon Atwell one, which actually is on here as well. This is a great disc. If you don't have it, I do recommend you pick it up. And as for 3D, this is real 3D, so you don't need glasses for this one here. You just put it on. It's like Joe Bob Briggs. Yeah, that's right. He's doing like the. I wonder what films he's doing. Has he announced? And last but not least, the oldest one in my collection, and then I'll tell you which ones I actually watched, is Freddy's Dead. It is a great film. House of Wax original. But what about the Paris Hilton House of Wax? And that, if you've saw my thumbnail, that was the glasses I was showing in my thumbnail actually, or the 3D glasses for that. I actually love this set. I've got the Blu-ray set of this as well, just so you know. But one of the amazing things, Freddy's Dead is, no, it's not even meh. This is one time, Brian, when I think you're being way too generous. I'm so not a fan of this film. I love this set, but it's so hard to get these in. Alrighty. You're going in, I tell you. Yeah. This was always one of my favorite sets in my collection. Was the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I've got the Blu-ray edition as well. But I just really love this set. I actually kind of like the Paris Hilton one. I have a steelbook edition of that film. I actually watched it a couple days ago. I never did a video on it, but I have the steelbook of that one here, and I watched that around 2 or 3 days ago. And the steelbook for House of Wax is utterly gorgeous. Well, Nightmare on Elm Street, but House of Wax is pretty cool. You get like a decent get, and the house literally. This is the only movie like the Paris Hilton one where literally the house is made of wax. It went there. It really decided it was going to go there. Yeah, that's like, even if you have to, when you get the Blu-ray one, like, keep that. I mean, it is a great set. It was an early blueprint of how box sets should be done. Now, obviously, hasn't been a Halloween 3D. We almost got one. But I like this angle. Now, somebody asked me recently if I've ever shown like the stuff over in that corner. I've done like tour videos and stuff like that. I will eventually go in and like do, where you see the Gunnar Hansen and Tom Savini pictures. I will like go in and do like an updated library tour eventually down the road, which I will probably put part on here, and I'll do it on, since I still have to do something like bigger on my Patreon, I'm going to put something there. And maybe a library tour is the best thing to do, because it's been a while. Whew. Anyway, I got talking to a friend of mine last night. Halloween 3D, 1978. I don't know. I'm not sure about conversion 3D. I'll be honest with you. I don't see where it would like stand, because Halloween is a suspense film, and it's not one of those in your face type of 3D films that's going to work that way. Like, I mean, I think it might take away from it. If you have a film where basically Michael Myers, supposed to be kind of lurking in the background, and all of a sudden Michael Myers is like 3D in the background, it might have an unexpected result that you actually don't want to have with that type of film. In my opinion, actually, my not so humble opinion. But out of those, what I watched last night, I watched Amityville Horror. Well, this morning actually, I watched Amityville Horror 3D. I watched one of them last night, and I was going to watch Texas Chainsaw 3D, but I couldn't. Thank you, MC. Ask as many film questions as you want. And I watched Friday the 13th 3D actually. I'm a huge Friday the 13th fan, and I'll be honest with you guys, whatever excuses I can make for myself to rewatch the movies, I rewatch the movies. I actually don't think it would work in black and white. Coloring in Halloween is something that's always been like a, it's always been something that's been a, hey, Giovanni, welcome. Something that's been big. It's coloring, the coloring of the film, like the lighting of Halloween, and the music has always been paramount in like in the way that the film's been done. There's certain films that can pull off and do stuff like that. Some like Mist. I think like monster movies, creature features really can do that a bit better. I mean, you could probably take Godzilla King of the Monsters, the one that came out last year, and put that in black and white, and still have a really kind of cool monster kaiju type of effect. I heard that. You're the one that said that idea. Oh man, that is my Walmart. I'm sure probably doesn't, but I will check. I was just happy and surprised when my Walmart got like horror T-shirts in. I have I had like around 3 or 4 people in the last couple of days when I was wearing the Pet Cemetery shirt stop me and ask me where I got the Pet Cemetery shirt at. And I was like, that's a Walmart. It's you can actually go out and get it. And if you have not seen the Pet Cemetery shirt, it is literally it's a skull that's made up completely of cats, including the eyes and nose are black cats. It's actually pretty cool. But I'm trying to think like 3D wise, like that's the stuff that stood out. I watched Amityville. Amityville 3D works only in 3D. It's one of these films that is kind of meddling and needs 3D. I remember being a kid and going to the local video store, like going to rent a movie, and seeing Anvil 3D there. Now I didn't know anything about like really about 3D at the time, like on home video, so I had no idea that there would be no way to see the 3D because they should have took the 3D off and just put Anvil 3 on the disc, on the VHS. So I get home, I'm watching it, I'm like, wow, I can see a 3D movie at home. This is amazing. Haven't seen that since the time since when my local TV station put on Creature from the Black Lagoon, and you had to go to the corner store, and you could buy like 3D glasses with them to watch it with. So anyway, I get there and I turn it on and I realize it's flat. I'm like, okay. And then I realized the movie itself is pretty flat. It's not the most exciting film out there. Like it's okay. Uh, YouTube is the new television. That's the, when you really think about it, every streaming service that's out there, whether it's like Netflix or Disney Plus or something like that, that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to capture that aspect of it. Uh, but I learned a lot from you guys. That's the thing. That's why this is around. I find out about like sales from you guys, and things happen like new, and I find out about movies that I didn't know about, which is super awesome. I have a friend actually. I used to work with her, sweet girl. Uh, God, she was like, she worked with me. She like sat next to me. She's like kid sister, and she was like really into the Bollywood films. I'll just go like, sorry, slight switch for a second. And I didn't know much about them. My better half like uh, knew like a lot about that type of stuff because she's watched a lot of like a lot more foreign films when it comes to that stuff than me. Like I'd seen a couple of the kind of the horror ones, but they weren't translated, and it was kind of like on a lark type of thing. But I didn't realize how much money like the Bollywood industry makes. Like what you think like Hollywood does good, and well, not even close. Bollywood, that's where the real money's at, and that's what she wanted to do. Actually, she wanted to make films, and she's in Ontario now. So if she ever does it, I hope she remembers me because I'll go into a Bollywood set, but I can't sing. That's the problem. Anyway, sorry about that. I just thought about that. But there's like Bollywood versions of everything. Like from Nightmare on Elm Street, yes, there's a Bollywood version of that. To Friday the 13th, that also had a Bollywood version, which I'm guessing lasted a lot longer than the original Friday the 13th. Didn't like one of the guys recently do that? Like, might have been Cinema Snob or something like that. Did like Bollywood Friday the 13th, like did a review. I'm pretty sure. Because I knew we had that queued up. I'm not sure if we watched it or not. But eventually I will, because I like that type of stuff. Anyway, unfortunately, at this point, 3D is kind of died down. You're not seeing 3D TVs on the market anymore. Like everything's gone towards 4K. With 8K TVs eventually coming out. Hey, Cropsy, we're talking 3D today. As you can see, I got my 3D shirt on. So there's less and less like market and marketability options for putting 3D out there. It's 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 a bit of a cultural thing, but it's interesting to check into wheels. I'm actually surprised you don't PlayStation because I remember, I'm sure you remember this. Like for a while, PlayStation when the PS3 was out, they put out this like 3D TV. Like it was like it was called gaming. It was a gaming TV, and you attach your PlayStation 3 to it. It was one of those like kind of longer ones, like just a nice size, around like probably like I don't know 19, 21 inches, something like that. And they were good for like a room. Basically, when they were made for like like a bedroom or maybe like a dorm room type of thing. They had a specific audience that they were going towards. So it used 3D and it used the 3D technology that like PlayStation used, which was an active 3D technology. Because there are two types. See, there's a true 3D, which you just put on regular kind of like plastic glasses and they're clear, and there is and I find that works really well. And there is the Sony 3D, which is active 3D, and with those the glasses were a bit bigger, and you had to charge them. So you had to like charge them, and you had to like kind of use Bluetooth to make sure that they're working with your TV. So this here monitor, this PlayStation monitor, actually came with 3D glasses. I actually used to have one of them, and I regret getting rid of it because it had an amazing picture, and it came with I think it was the one of those racing games that you could play in 3D because PlayStation had a like, series of 3D games that they did, and they were not like short games; they were actual real games, like in ATV ones, or that type of thing, like really decent racing games. So I was there, and I remember playing one of the Silent Hills actually in 3D, which was actually cool. Like now, Silent Hill's gone into the virtual reality. Silent Hill's one of those companies that's one of those franchises that's been able to like go into different directions, and I really like that about that franchise. Anyway, I digress. The sad part is that just 3D just isn't there. The only thing, if the PlayStation 4, the 5, I guess, becomes really marketable and PlayStation VR really catches on, then you might see a little bit of a resurgence, at least from on Sony's side, for 3D films, because one of the things that you realize when if you're a movie fan and you've got a PlayStation VR is doesn't matter what anybody else is watching on TV, you can put a movie in and you put on your VR headset and you set the screen the way you want it. You can watch it like you're watching in the theater, and 3D works. So you don't need to put on a pair of 3D glasses. The 3D is going to come out at you. It's really cool that way. That actually works, and it's one of the neat things that I love about my PlayStation VR setup is I don't have to go upstairs. I got a 3D TV in my bedroom, but I don't have to go upstairs and watch the 3D TV if I don't want to. I can actually stay downstairs, put on my PlayStation VR headset, and I can watch my 3D films from there. That's actually where I watched House of Wax the other day because I knew I was going to be making this video. Hey, Culture Trinity, welcome, man. We're talking 3D, and I am a huge fan. The best 3D movies that I ever saw that worked well in the theater. Now, these aren't the best movies, but that look the best. And I should have brought it over actually. So Jaws 3 in 3D. Actually, when I saw that in theater, it was amazing. It looked incredible. The shark still looked fake as heck when it was smashing through through the glass. If you remember the sequence I'm talking about. Um, I don't, but I actually can look them up now. Thanks. I always love to hear about new channels. If you know about any new channels that you think people should know about, always feel free to share them out here and your own channels as well, because that's what this is for. This should be like that stop off in between finding all these other cool channels by the creators around here that do some awesome stuff. But yeah, Jaws 3 looked amazing in the theater. Friday the 13th, also, hey, Channel Dawnstar, looked amazing. Dawnstar. I always get that wrong, man. I always put an extra in there. I'll also look. Hey, hey, Mr. Dark. I am doing okay today. Actually, I'm sad. Uh, hey, Terry. Did you saw it in theater too? So did you like it? See, I, re- I remember loving the 3D for Jaws 3D and loving the 3D for Friday the 13th 3D. I was kind of spoiled that way because when 3D came at its big resurgence, like a few years back, it wasn't as good. I mean, there was, it was much more kind of like a subtle, like let's kind of draw you in as opposed to like let's go right out in your face type of thing. And I like the type of 3D that's like, here, let me, let me use my yo-yo type. I like that kind of comes out of the screen. I like when it's done well. I'm like, oh, that's really good. And like 90% of the Marvel films that would come out like in 3D conversion, 3D wasn't good. What wasn't it was good? It was good. It was passable, but nothing that really needed it. See, I do. My better half does. Well, we go between the 4Ks and the 3D ones. Right now, we're getting them all in 4K, but I don't think all the 4K ones have 3D. So that means we're gonna have to do some over in 3D. Hey, dude, I'm so jealous. Jess, you got it. The Scream Factory, Food the Gods. That, that's one of the ones that are gone. And there's like, that's the other thing I was going to mention on here before. I got talking yesterday about like the Scream Factory out of print list. I'll let people know where to find it at. And I said yesterday, and I said to a friend of mine actually afterwards, that was I bummed out because certain movies are going out of print, like with all these like Kinos and the Scream Factories. And I said, no, this is probably one of the most exciting times for me as a collector right now because there's suddenly an urgency for certain films. I have that one. That's actually pretty cool. They used to play that. Oh, yeah, that's right. That was that. I've never seen it. I saw the making of it, but it was that like yeah, you're right. That was that at Disney. Not a problem. You can as are you your interview journalism. That's kind of cool. I'm actually an ex-journalist. Well, I went to school for it. I didn't actually pursue it too much. I've never been to Disney World. My better half went there a lot of times. So yeah, I'm definitely down with that MC. My better half used to go to Disney all the time because her dad was a pilot, and they'd fly out like sometimes to they fly out to the states, and a lot of times they'd stay at Disney, and they'd go on the rides and stuff like that. But this was the time when the Cartoon Network was big, and they didn't have like Cartoon Network over in Morocco, so I haven't seen all of them. I've seen like ones like The Mask and stuff like that, uh, which I'll mention in a second. So they would go there, and she'd get up early, like around like 5 o'clock in the morning, and she'd turn on like the Cartoon Network and sit down and watch Thunder the Barbarian and stuff like that. And she almost didn't want to go on the ride. She was so entranced with the Cartoon Network and stuff. So that's why we have so many cartoons in our collection. Yeah, I've seen a few. I'm sure there's lots that I've missed over the years. I remember The Mask. I was seeing that one on VHS actually back in the day, and the one where it's like it's time to put on the mask. Dude, I'm not the person to ask when it comes to the technical stuff when it comes to cameras. But if anybody down here knows, uh, definitely like let them know because I do not like I will completely be honest and say I wouldn't know. If I was producing or directing a film, I would go to somebody else for the tech aspects of it. When it comes to that, that's complete honesty. There is a guy that comes out here sometimes, Obnoxious Anonymous, who has his own channel, by the way, and I had like a podcast as well, who knows a lot about like Twin Peaks, and I think he's making like a Twin Peaks film, like kind of a Twin Peaks fan film. So if he was here, he'd probably be able to answer that question, because that he's in the process of like doing of making a film, which I think is fascinating. Is anybody else on here ever like done that, or like ever thought about like making, like actually making a film, like doing something along that lines, in the or anybody here that wants to be a filmmaker? Because there was a guy that I knew. He's a British chap, younger guy, and he made videos. He used to make like short videos with his friends. He's really good, actually, really personable. I haven't chatted with him in a while, but I think he went on to he was going to do film school. Want to do scenes in Canada? Huh. That's interesting. I thought of it like early on. It can't be any worse than some of the stuff that I did to Nooch. I remember when I first got my first iPad, right? And when iMovie for the first time. Food the Gods 2 any good? It's did you like Food the Gods? It's not as good as Food the Gods, but it is kind of cheesy fun. So there, Brian, you might be able to answer the question then. Oh yeah, then you'll like it. You'll enjoy it. I don't think it's the same up there as Food the Gods, but I like that style film. I like a, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm like big on killer rat films for some reason. I don't know why. Deadly Eyes is one of my favorites, of unknown origin, which I don't own actually. I used to have it on VHS years ago. I that that I that I really like. Well, you can be glad because I wrote 5 film scripts, all that were sold. Only one of them got made. I kind of wish it didn't, because it is not what I wrote. It was horrible. My film script wasn't the best, but it wasn't as bad as yeah. I worked for a company for a few years, just a couple years. I took time off, and I wanted to go into writing, and I started to write films for this independent company that used to do comic books and stuff like that. Things too. It was worse than things. In my opinion, it was way worse than things. It didn't have the quality acting. It's it it's called Hell Cemetery. It was a 90-minute film that they cut down to 15 minutes because the lead died and they didn't bother to recast him. I think I have actually. Hell Cemetery, yeah. It's not good. Good luck finding it. Good luck even finding a trailer for it, to be honest with you. I remember having this picture like years ago, and Andrew Divoff from Wishmaster must be a very sweet person, because the guy that made Hell Cemetery, he sent me a picture of Andrew Divoff holding Hell Cemetery. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. Andrew Divoff, the Wishmaster, is holding the film that I wrote, and I didn't have my copy at that point. And eventually, I got it, and I was like 5 minutes in. I'm like, what's this? I literally, this is, back away. So I had to pause the film. I went and I got my script up on my computer screen, and I printed it off because I had a printer, and I took it and I brought it with me, and I started the movie over, and I was flabbergasted. But you're right. At least, I checked out that box of like, okay, I wrote something and actually sold it. I was able to do that. It's true. I mean, but hopefully, if you get yours done, it'll be a better experience in the long run. And at the end of the day, I checked off a box on my bucket list that I wanted to do. Yeah, you did. But yours, you had a better experience than me too, though. And that's the thing. I checked out that box on my bucket list. That's cool. It was fun. It was a fun experience. I got to write 5 films. Thank God. Like after seeing the first one, I'm glad they didn't go and make the rest of them. but I got paid for them anyway, so that was the most important part. Got to feed my family. That was that was kind of important. That's what it was all about. And for a short period of time, I got to work from home. I would. I mean, when I came here to Nova Scotia around 2 years ago, I had the chance to sit back and finally like to do some writing. So I had my computer. I had like a whole workstation set up to write on, and I got in front of the keyboard and I went blank. And Stephen King says that, oh, I had like no creative control here. Like basically, he would give me like two sentence like idea for a script, like, and I would have to flesh that out into a full film. I'll explain it in a second actually. But Stephen King always says like write at least 2,000 words a day. I would try to help. Like right recently now, I've been super. Uh, I can't say, but I've been in my creative zenith. That's for sure. Because I came here to restart my career as a writer, and I just couldn't. I wasn't getting the inspiration; it just wasn't coming to me. It was extremely frustrating. At least 2,000 words a day. Like it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, and I still do that. Write just write 2,000 words a day. Like pick a time, write. Just start writing. It doesn't matter if you got something in mind. Just write. Just because the idea is to get the discipline down. Once you have the discipline down of doing that, when it comes to you, when you get that spark of creativity, you want to be able to be disciplined enough and on cue enough to do it. And it's one of those things where it's so easy to because you're working at home, you're pretty much working for yourself. Aside from the fact of like hunger and stuff like that, it's so easy to get distracted by things around you. So if you're working, if you're writing, or you're working in any type of like any medium like that, I do recommend you pick a time, like, and you find a time that's you're going to be able to do on a consistent basis, and then go for that. If it's writing, pick an hour, and that's a nice mix actually. That's a cool mix, and just do that. And documentaries I love. I'm a huge documentary fan. If I was ever going to go back and like and make a movie right now, I'd either go one of two ways. I'd make an exploitation film, or I would make a documentary. And there's already been a documentary I think done on exploitation, but I would like to dive deeper into that. I do think there's still places to go. Exploitation, for people that aren't aware, it's the whole like basic a time and genre in films where basically filmmakers were coming over to Canada to make exploitation films, and there were certain like tax. That's actually not a bad idea. There were certain like tax like incentives that you would get, and so people would come over here and they make like slasher movies in the '80s and like monster movies and stuff like that. And it didn't matter, like it wasn't going to make a lot of money, but like there were certain things that they could actually that they could avail of, like incentives and financing and like and tax incentives as well, that brought people over. And with that, you got like the Cronenberg films, you got stuff like My Bloody Valentine and Black Christmas from 1974, When a Stranger Calls, all that type of stuff was all within the Cannibal Girls, is all within the kind of the exploitation like blanket of films. And there's a book about it called "That Came from Within," which actually I was writing a book on exploitation, and I saw that book came out first, and I got it. I was like, oh man, somebody already did it. Oh yeah, super cheaper. And there are certain times I think of the year too where it got like really, really good. And so you'd see a lot of them come over around that period of time. But it was a great time. Chud 3, I'd go back to the original Chud for that one, I think. Because Chud 2 is a fun film, but it gets in like the super campy thing. And there's no actual Chuds in it. No. In my opinion, there's no Chuds in Chud 2. Uh, but Chud, again, is one of those films that tackled some issues. It was in a way it was like I'm not gonna say not a political film, but it definitely was an issue film. maybe at homelessness, and all, there's a whole aspect of that, like into in Chud. Oh, definitely. Like, just go back and watch it again, because it does deal with with a lot of that stuff. Now, that's the thing. When you get like people like behind the scenes, like the writers and that, just look at the people like behind that film. You realize that they're like guys like Larry Cohen are always trying to like entertain you, but there's more than that than you see on the surface level. For every almost any Larry Cohen film, for instance. I honestly didn't. I fanboyed a bit, to be totally honest with you. I felt the first time I sold a script, and I sold it for very little, was my first script. Slave wages, I call it now. But they, I was just really happy that somebody like I'd spent like this time like I did journalism. I wrote like some stuff. I did some short stories. I did some like script doctoring. But which is the worst because when you ghost things, you don't get any credit for it. You get a check, but you don't get any credit. Mostly like dialogue stuff and that. But that's like when I was like early on. But yeah, it was nice just to have a name on something. Well, it was kind of comical because there was like, was on one of those like horror forums like years ago, and it was just after the movie came, and the movie was like bad. But a guy came on and he started talking about, oh yeah, I made this movie and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a really big film, and it's going to, and it's like Hell Cemetery, and I'm like, dude, I wrote Hell Cemetery. Of all the movies to go out there and take credit for, you chose the wrong, you chose the wrong one. The one thing I do remember there, like, is that the lead, there's a lead character in the film, like the father character at the beginning of the film, and it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be a pivotal role in the movie because the father he's give you a plot here a bit. He's a cemetery where he works at a cemetery, and so his and I took I kind of VC this up a bit because the literal like idea, not a problem, dude. Behind the film is I got a this is how it went. Like I got he said I got an idea for a film. Can you flesh this out for me? And literally it was people see a light from a cemetery and get killed. That's what I had to work with. So I had to do a script basic on people see a light from a cemetery and get killed. Can you make that into a film? And and I did. Hey, and ready, welcome. Ooh, I got to see it. I mean, I know I'm not gonna have fun with it, but do I want to buy it? Do I need to buy it though? Maybe I can like rent it or something. I don't know. I want to see the documentary though. That's the thing. Let me know if did you buy it? If you let me know if the documentary is any good. If you watch that, because his documentaries are usually better than some of his films. That's the thing, right? It's a shame because it's one of Sid Haig's last, and it's his last Firefly film. Though I don't, I really, I was among the people that didn't think there needed to be another Firefly film. To be honest with you, but yeah. So the sequence of the film is basically the mother's been dead for years. The father is a drunk and he takes care of the cemetery. The daughter is like just like one of those V.C. Andrews novels. She's considered kind of like white trash. Like she's studious and that people kind of make fun of her. But he comes home one night and I would promise the guy today. He goes to assault her, and she escapes into the cemetery, and she stabs him, and he ends up like just before he stabs her through here, and I was like with the blade coming up here, and the idea, the genesis of the film is that there's ghosts within the cemetery, and the ghost has a blade smile where basically when she opens her mouth, the blade, that's still there, you know, in the right light looks, looks like a light. It shines, and that's what gets them up there when the car breaks down. Anyway, let's get back to the other stuff. I do apologize. I didn't mean to go off into a tangent. I haven't actually. I've seen a lot of those, and I really got to get them. I've heard a bit that they do have some great presentation. I really need them made. The it came from outer space was actually really cheap to get too. The bubble. What's the bubble? Yeah, it was meant to be more serious. I'm I consider myself more of an exploitation writer, but a lot of the stuff that I write comes out, and I'm not sure. Maybe I just used to read a lot of Lovecraftian stuff when I was younger. Comes out like that, like kind of like twisted and a bit gothic, and somebody described it one time when I was writing something as kind of like when you're walking down the road at night and you feel like something's watching you, but you turn your head and there's no one there. That kind of thing. That's the style that I kind of go with, I guess. I'm missing some stuff here. Marxist philosopher. Forget. Do I know this guy? I don't think I have. I got to check out his stuff though. But no, I don't. I haven't seen Don Star. I wish I had did have those films, because they look. I've heard great things about all of them. I've seen some of the films, but I haven't seen those presentations of them. To be completely honest with you, and I don't know. I don't know if I know Inferno, or it's not like I can't. I know Terry Gentle's Inferno, but this was not coming to me. The Bubble I remember. It came from outer space, of course. Maze I kind of remember. Uh, Inferno is going there. A few. I mean, I did one where it's kind of comical. They had like kind of a Ouija board type of thing that it was. I think it was called a gate board. So they said, can you write me a film that in some way will incorporate that into the film? It doesn't have to be a Ouija board film, but can you kind of incorporate that into the film? So I did like basically a slasher trope type film, and it dealt with these people in a ski lodge, and they were getting killed off one by one. Oh, most of the stuff I did was in the horror genre. One I did an exploitation one that I'm not going to talk about too much, but that I was not proud of. But it had like a statue of a religious figure killing people. That was like possessed type of thing. That was one that I was another one of those where basically said I got an idea for a film, and it came over like with two lines. They said, "Can you make this into a film?" I said, "I can." I don't really feel super comfortable with doing it. I don't have most of my scripts anymore, unfortunately. Those scripts were long, long ago on a computer, far, far away now. Um, I've moved many times since then. I did have them for the longest time. Hey, Jason, on my old computer, my laptop, but it died on me. And this was before the days of backing things up. There's actually one point where I wrote a script and I sent it to him, and something happened along the way. He lost it. Anyway, it was gone. But I had already lost it on my computer. I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know actually. To be honest, I used to have one around here somewhere, and honestly, if I could find it, I'd send something. But I haven't been able to find it in years. And but if I ever do, I'll show you. But he lost the script, and I didn't have the script, and he emailed me and he said, "By the way, I can't find the script. I think I did something wrong. I might have deleted it. Can you send me another copy?" I did not have that script anymore, so I had to like go from memory, and over like a space of, like I guess 24 hours, like just sit down and rewrite the entire script. Uh, so that was I think it was a little bit better the second time around actually. And that was the one of the Gateboard ones. That was the second Gateboard one because he wanted to do it so he could like shoot two at the same time. Oh, nothing like Dragalum, unfortunately. it was not a good film. Like even like, and I will admit, like, and even my writing of it, I don't think I put myself into it as much because I wasn't so good with the I wasn't feeling cool about it. It was like if like Full Moon with the more the distastefulness of Trauma with a little, you know, with going a bit farther, because the things where he would come along and he would be like, I'd write something and you know, nice guy, really sweet guy by the way, and he'd say, you know, this is good. Like I really like this. You know when a sentence starts like that, you know where it's going to go, right? You know, but there's always a but. But you think you could a bit more nudity? I'm like, okay, like you know, I guess I could do it like a shower scene, something like that, right? But I got to this one, and this was like, he said, "Look, this is intense." I said, "Okay, I don't want the redemption thing at the ending. Like take it the religious part of it, like take it the redemption thing, and make this religious iconic statue just out and out evil. And I I want you to I want you to throw in a rape scene." And I was like, oh God. Like, oh God, no. And I'm like, it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really fit. And it's like, yeah, I said, I think I could sell it a bit more if you like just you know you threw that in there. So I went back to my computer and I'm like, where the hell do I put that in this film? And at the end, I said, you know, a lot of movies don't have the, you know, won't kill off the kids. You know, can you kill off, you know, the 11-year-old kid in the film as well? And I was like, yeah, I'm cool with that. I said, can we take can we take the rape scene? And then he's like, no, we need to do that too. Also need to do that as well. But no, I didn't feel comfortable making the film. I'm glad it was never made. Actually, I saw that. Uh, Masters of Cinema do great releases. I need more Masters of Cinema. But see, the thing is, I've said to myself, I really want to go to London, Dunstar. So I want to go to London so much again, because I loved London when I went there, that certain companies, I'm like, okay, I want to buy this movie from this company. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm going to go to London and I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff when I go there. So I'm holding off on certain things because I know I want to go back there and I want something to kick my butt in gear to make sure that I get back, uh, get back there. This turned out to be a bit 3D and not Aaron Rate's crappy films. But hot tub scene. I don't think I ever did. Yes, I did do an hot tub scene actually in Gateport too. I did. But yes, so if you are ever serious about like you know, and Don Starr wrote something, you know, if Obnoxious Anonymous was there, you know, he's someone that's wrote some stuff. Just they'll tell you like just dedication, like every day, do something, write something. It doesn't matter if it's good. It doesn't matter if you end up deleting it at the end. Just every single day, get down there and you'll, and eventually, like if even if the you know the idea isn't coming to you, the craft will. I've seen part one, and I think I've seen part two, but I haven't seen all of it because it's one of those movies that I think it was on Netflix, and I turned it on like kind of like in the background, and then I went on like to make some spaghetti and like make some garlic bread and stuff like that. So I never really watched it. When I'm watching like one of my horror films or stuff like that, I can't do that. What I do then is I make my food first, and then I put on the movie, and I'm there in front of the screen. You know. And if I'm making a video, sometimes I'll be like, you know, I'll have my iPad, I'll be taking notes, that type of thing. But like today when I did it, surprisingly, it doesn't look like it. Like, but I do take notes on the films that I talk about. Not all of them, but on some of them. On Killer Crocodile, I had a ton of notes and ended up like talking about like very little. uh, because once you go live, it's totally different. Like it's a different dynamic. But it needs to be done anyway. And then when I do a podcast, of course, then those you need notes for those things because you're going to be talking and bouncing off somebody else. But and again, that's the thing where it's you're taping stuff off together, and there's no second take on a podcast. So you end up hoping to get everything in, and you usually never do. When I was talking about Slaughter High, I had 2.5 pages of notes on Slaughter High, on Slaughter High, and I don't. And there was, even after we did the podcast, after it was all over, I think it was like 2 days later. I looked at some of my notes. I'm like, I should have talked about this, and I should have talked about this, and I should have mentioned this. But on Slaughter, oh no, sorry, Splatter University. I haven't done one on Slaughter High. I should though. I really like that film. Slaughter High is one of those that stands out to me because it's one of those movies that is. Oh, I wish. The way I see it, Mr. Dark, because I'm a fountain of useless knowledge. Is that Slaughter High is one of those movies that you watch and it's so insane that you're you know that certain things look more inept than they probably should, and then you get to the ending of the film, and at the ending of the film, there's this little twist that changes absolutely everything that you've seen up to this point in the film. So when you know the ending of Slaughter High, you can go back and watch Slaughter High and get a whole different perspective, in my opinion anyway, get a whole different perspective on it, knowing where it's going. And I kind of dug that about that film. I like films that kind of subvert it a bit like that. And maybe I'm giving too much credit to Slaughter High. Hey, Missing. But for me, it was one of those movies when I first saw it, I'm like, this is weird. And it got to the end, I'm like, yeah, the end was probably tacked on. It was probably like, just like, oh, let's do this type of twist type of thing. But it works for this type of film that it is, and it works for the aesthetic of the film. Downstairs, right. What's the funniest horror movie I ever saw? A lot of people are probably going to disagree, but well, funny in like the way it like was meant to be funny. Then it's obviously for me it's always going to be oh God, it's got the breather in it. I need this movie. I need to own this movie. Actually, I don't own it because it's got 13 and a half kills. Why can I not remember the name of it? Elmer P. Red. I remember like lines from student. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. It's killing me. Student Bodies. That is for me was the funniest. Like other ones like that I liked. It always stuck in this weird film. It like did all the slasher tropes right. As for like unintentionally funny, it's probably like Nail Gun Massacre. Definitely sticks out and Things. Things is a bit more painful though. It moves slower. There's times like where it's actually hurting to watch things. Where Nail Gun Massacre is actually a good time. So Nail Gun Massacre and I would say double feature it with Satan's Blade. They're both two movies that like have a lot of unintentional humor and a lot of like these WTF moments in there. And if you want to do one that's not horror, then like go for what was it, Deadly Pursuit or something like that was called, Deadly something. It was also put up by Slasher Video. They did a movie and they did like a sequel like 20 years later. But no, the first one like Student Bodies hands down, like because it does now it deals with you gotta like slasher films, like it deals with a lot of slasher tropes, and whereas oh that's actually been mentioned that Jess, I Wacko I thought was okay, but I think Wacko's a movie you got to watch with a few people. It didn't work with me as well as it did with I did Wacko. I talked about Wacko on a podcast with just this podcast with Brian, who is incredible with this stuff, and makes me sound way better than I think I sound. Mouse Hand of Fate. There's a good one. But he liked Wacko more than I did at the time, and as we talked about it more, I kind of like he won me over with Wacko. But Student Bodies is a good one. There was one called National Lampoon's Class Reunion. It's a bit mixed. It's kind of iffy. I did remember loving, and it's probably a crappy movie. But when I was a kid, I saw a movie called Jekyll and Hyde Together Again, in the theater, and it always stood out to me. It basically is a Jekyll and Hyde movie where he uses cocaine to turn into Mr. Hyde. And when he does, he gets like this, his hair got this big wig, like, kind of with hair sticking out like this. And there's this like rich dude, and he's having a complete body transplant. It's, it's silly stuff. And it's like, because it's a hospital set film. You remember the movie? So you remember seeing him talking about and ready? So basically, apparently, this guy has just had we'll go testicles given to this rich guy, because he's given a lot of money for like body parts. It's called Jekyll and Hyde Together Again, Jesse. And at the time, like, he's turned into Mr. Hyde, and he's like skipping down with his legs kind of flailing out, with his knees flailing out. He's skipping down the hospital, and he hits the guy that just had the transplant right between the legs. And it's juvenile humor, but it truly, truly works like so well for, like, it's like, what, 13, 14-year-old me. It would probably be like, seem crappy as hell now, but for me right then, I loved it. So there, that's just another one. That just came to me randomly. I do think that actually there was a company that put out Student Bodies and Jekyll and Hyde Together Again as a double feature, as you would put out the two Blu-rays in like in one set. I think it's expensive as hell to buy now, but that was a thing at one point. And one of the Facebook pages that I was on at the time, there was a guy that was selling it for like $30, and I was like, oh, man, if I had the money, I would grab it. But it sold really fast, obviously, and I was like, damn. But one of these days I'll find it. But those are two movies that from my youth that stood out. Student Bodies was a super weird film about it's a slasher one about a guy that's killing people, and there is a literal body count. There's like when someone gets killed, and they get killed in silly ways. It's not a gore film, where he'll put like the guys in trash bags, and he'll like, put like the number and like a number flash on the screen. There's even a portion in Student Bodies where somebody kills a fly and half comes up on the screen. Hence, this film with 13 and 1/2 kills. But the breather is excellent, and there's a sequence which kind of reminiscent of like a lot of like Halloween and When a Stranger Calls at the beginning of the film, where it has the breather and he's wearing galoshes and he's walking up the stairs, and he's like, I'm gonna kill, these stairs are so long. To the point where like there's like gum all over the stairs, like, I want to kill the kid with the gum. It's just, yeah, I can't like do justice to it, but it was really cool. That's a good question. Thank you for asking that. I do. Definitely. Saturday the 14th is fun. I like the cast for Saturday the 14th. I think Saturday the 14th works better when you're younger. Both in two dynamics. Works better like kind of when you're younger. Saturday the 14th works better when you're younger, and when you're a bit older, and you can sit back and watch it and kind of take it for what it is. But because there was two Saturday the 14th, right? Did you? Oh, nice, Cropsy. I think if you haven't seen it like before, I think you'll enjoy it. If you've seen it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Once Bitten, I go back and forth on Once Bitten. I mean, I like it, but it's before Jim Carrey got to like do like, no, it's Once Bitten. Am I thinking Once Bitten to go into like the real kind of like crazy aspect. You see like glimpses of that genius there, but because hey Kathy, welcome. But obviously look at Jim Carrey. If you're like you're older like me, then Jim Carrey was strongly influenced by Frank Gorshin, and so you get that type of like aspect to it, and you start to see those that stuff coming in. No, George Hamilton's Love at First Bite. That actually also has Richard Benjamin in it as well, and Susan St. James from a show called Kate and Allie, which I'm old enough to remember. And of course, before that, she was in she was in TV series with Rock Hudson, which I have here, called McMillan and Wife. Except for the last season, where she wanted more money, and and then it became McMillan because he became a widow. But Love at First Bite is a really cool one. They actually changed the soundtrack when it was put out, like the rights issues. So there's a sequence where he's at a disco, and if you saw it in the theater, exactly there. I love the nightlife. I like the boogie, dancing in the film. But when it originally came out on VHS, the music was completely changed. So you know, seen it in theater. If you'd seen it in theater and you go and you watch the VHS edition of it, that music's not there. It's very different music and it doesn't suit it as well. So it was nice when the music kind of came back to it. Frankenhooker, like Henenlotter does like a lot of those like kind of like tongue through cheek, I like to call them, because it does like the body horror comedy type stuff. You know, Basket Case, I do think overall it's still a comedy. Brain Damage is still, but I guess his most out and out comedy is definitely Frankenhooker, which I really enjoyed. I remember having the going to the store, the VHS store, and like press down the button, you know, want a date type of thing, until basically I think like Dead Pit, like eventually the, you know, the batteries died and those things. But I would love to have the VHS a working VHS copy of that one. I would, William. I would consider Seven. A lot of people say, no, it's a suspense movie or it's a thriller film. But no, when you get to in that dark of a territory, and the same thing, like, you know, some people say, well, you know, you know, certain films aren't horror, or like when they did you know, Manhunter or Silence of the Lambs. Like, no, that's not real. That's not really horror. That's more. When a filmmaker says that, it's because they feel a little. They feel like horror is going to like put a label on it, and they look on horror less as a less of a genre. So they'll say thriller, or they'll say, you know, it's a suspense film. But Seven is definitely a horror film. In my opinion, anyway. I would definitely think of Seven as a horror film, and I do think of like Silence of the Lambs is definitely a horror film. And it took me a while to get used to it. Like when I saw Seven, like I saw it, like we rented it, and there was like a house full of people. And I was the only person that stayed awake for it. I would definitely consider Hannibal horror. Uh, uh, and even in the TV series Hannibal, especially. Yeah, but you know, Jesse, that the guy, you know, that directed it, whose name is like, oh my God, this has been a long day. Like said, you know, that's not horror. It's Clockwork Orange horror. Jonathan Demme, thank you. Yeah, for me, Clockwork Orange is probably even more horrific than something like Seven is. And because you know, it's definitely something that gets to me. Like, see, some people, that's the thing. Like, and I think a lot of it is going to depend on like what you take out of it. Manhunter will always, for me, be the best Hannibal Lecter film, and I really like Anthony Hopkins. Love Anthony Hopkins. Sci-fi horror is what I go for with Clockwork Orange, just because of the disturbing aspect of it, right? But with Manhunter, I just really liked it. I liked the story, and I liked it better than Red Dragon. I know a lot of people love Red Dragon, but I was myself. I'm a bigger fan of Manhunter, and it took me a while to actually warm to Red Dragon, because you know they're doing the story that I was already like a huge fan of. Hate Red Dragon. Well, see, that's the way that I felt about it first, and I got, you know, I warmed on it a bit, but it's still not. I still Manhunter is still my favorite like version of that story. But with that being said, do you know what I have to do now, guys? I have to go help my better half pack, because hey Christian, uh, because my better half is heading to Morocco tomorrow, and I'm gonna miss the hell out of her. So you guys are definitely gonna see more of me on here. Uh, and again, I'll be here tomorrow to talk about well, whatever we talk about. I got a few things that I got to get through. I'm hoping that Vinegar Syndrome gets their stuff to me in time that I can talk about some of the stuff for Halloween. But at this point, I'm iffy on that. I do know that supposedly, hopefully, I ordered a couple things for some extra money that I had there on side, and I got a couple Scream Factories coming. Oh, nice! I'll check that out after Movie Chatters. So I'll check that later on tonight. So thank you for watching. My name is Aaron. I got to go check out on my better half. We got to go do some packing, and I'm gonna miss her. I'm Aaron. This is the Movie Library. There's been a Thanks a lot, Channel Downstar. I've been really trying to get this, and like 11 more days to go. Try not to be burnt out. You guys are awesome. You guys rock. Thank you so much. And I'll see you tomorrow. It's time for tea and hug in the better half.